Victoria Hayes had spent most of her life believing that being successful meant never needing anyone. As the CEO of a major Chicago technology company, she was accustomed to private lounges, executive cars, carefully planned schedules, and assistants who solved problems before she even noticed them. But that night at O'Hare International Airport, none of those things mattered. A powerful winter storm had swept across Chicago, grounding hundreds of flights. The departure boards were filled with cancellations, and frustrated passengers crowded the terminals. Victoria stood near gate C-17 staring at her phone. Canceled again. Her assistant's voice came through the call.
Yes,
Victoria replied coldly. Find me another flight, I've checked everything. Nothing is leaving tonight. Victoria closed her eyes. She had a major presentation in New York the following morning. Missing it could cost her company a multi-million-dollar contract. Keep searching, I will. The call ended. Victoria looked around. The terminal that had been crowded an hour earlier was slowly becoming empty. Families were finding hotel rooms. Travelers were sleeping on airport benches, and airline employees were closing certain counters. Victoria had no luggage except a small carry-on. Then she noticed a man several seats away. Daniel Carter was sitting beside his young daughter Lily. He wore a simple dark jacket and carried a backpack that looked like it had been used for years. Lily was asleep against his shoulder. Daniel noticed Victoria struggling with her suitcase. One wheel had become stuck. He stood. Need some help. Victoria looked at him. I've got it. Daniel nodded immediately. Okay. He returned to his seat without another word. Victoria managed to pull the suitcase a few feet before the wheel jammed again. She sighed. Daniel looked over, still sure. Victoria almost smiled fine. Daniel walked over and lifted the suitcase. This wheel is damaged. I know you should carry it instead. I suppose that's what I'll do. Daniel carried it toward the seating area. Victoria followed. Thank you. No problem, he returned to Lily. Victoria sat nearby after several minutes. She noticed Daniel checking his daughter's jacket and making sure she was warm. Is she your daughter? Daniel smiled. Yes. Lily, how old? 10. Lily opened her eyes briefly. Dad, I'm here. She looked at Victoria. Who is she? Daniel glanced at Victoria. Someone whose flight got canceled. Lily nodded sleepily. Like ours exactly. She closed her eyes again. Victoria watched them quietly. There was something peaceful about the way Daniel cared for his daughter. No assistant, no security team, no expensive hotel waiting nearby. Just a father making sure his child was comfortable. Hours passed. The storm continued outside. Victoria's phone battery dropped to 10%. She searched for nearby hotels, but every room was booked. She looked around the nearly empty terminal. For the first time that night, she felt genuinely alone. Daniel noticed. You okay? Victoria hesitated. I don't have anywhere to go. Daniel looked at the empty seats around them. You can stay here with us. Victoria stared at him. You don't even know me. Daniel smiled. Neither do you. Then he returned his attention to Lily. Victoria looked at the father and daughter beside her. For once, nobody cared that she was a CEO. Nobody wanted anything from her. And somehow, that made Daniel's simple offer feel more valuable than anything money could buy. The airport grew quieter as midnight passed. Outside the enormous windows, snow continued falling across the runways. Most of the lights around the terminal remained bright, but the usual movement of travelers had almost disappeared. Victoria sat beside Daniel and Lily, still surprised that a stranger had offered to stay with her. Daniel opened his backpack. I have some sandwiches. Victoria shook her head. No, thank you. You haven't eaten. How do you know? You've been staring at the same vending machine for 10 minutes. Victoria laughed softly. I suppose I have. Daniel handed her a sandwich. Take it. She accepted. Thank you. Lily woke again and handed Victoria a small blanket. You can use this. Victoria smiled. Are you sure? Lily nodded. Dad says everyone should be warm. Victoria looked at Daniel. You raised her well. Daniel smiled. She teaches me more than I teach her. For the first time that night, Victoria relaxed. They talked for hours. Daniel told her about raising Lily alone, balancing work with school schedules, and learning how to cook after becoming a single father. Victoria shared almost nothing about herself. Eventually, Daniel asked gently, What do you do? Victoria hesitated. I work for a company. Daniel smiled. So do millions of people. She laughed. You're not curious. Not really. Why? 'Cause you're Victoria. That's enough. She stared at him. Nobody had ever said something like that to her. Usually when people learned she was the CEO of Hayes Global, their attitude changed immediately. Daniel didn't even know around 3 in the morning. Victoria's phone finally died. She looked worried. I have a meeting tomorrow morning. Daniel shrugged. Then you'll deal with it tomorrow. You don't understand, maybe. He looked toward the sleeping passengers. But worrying tonight won't change anything. Victoria smiled. You're surprisingly calm. I have a daughter. You learn to stay calm when everything goes wrong. A few hours later, the airport announced that flights would begin operating again. Lily woke excitedly. Dad, we're going to New York. Daniel smiled. Looks like it. Victoria stood and picked up her suitcase. She looked at Daniel. Thank you. You're welcome. Why did you stay? Daniel looked confused. What do you mean? You could have ignored me. Daniel glanced at Lily. Because you needed someone. Victoria's eyes became emotional. Most people help me because they want something. Daniel shook his head. I don't want anything. Victoria smiled. I believe you. They exchanged contact information before heading toward different gates. Days later, Victoria returned to her Chicago office. Her assistant handed her a supplier report. There's a Daniel Carter listed here. Victoria looked at the document. Her eyes widened. It was him, the single dad from the airport, worked for one of her company's suppliers. She could have used the connection to give him special treatment. Instead, she requested his professional records. His performance was excellent. Victoria called him. I found out what you do. Daniel laughed. Please don't tell me you're calling about the airport. No, she smiled. I'm calling because you're talented. Victoria offered Daniel a promotion, based entirely on his qualifications. Daniel accepted, only after confirming that the position was fairly earned. Months later, their professional relationship became a genuine friendship. Victoria never forgot that snowy night. She had entered the airport believing she needed no one. She left realizing that sometimes the greatest help comes from someone who doesn't even know your name.